I have 2 children, both boys. I'm currently pregnant with my fourth after a loss. My mother-in-law offered to be the gender keeper. She got the confetti cannons. This is my last pregnancy, so I wanted to do a small reveal with close family and friends. My last was during infection 19 and we had to skip all the cute things. I have 2 boys and of course would adore a little girl. I would also be happy keeping my boy mom crown. But damn, a little girl would just be so freaking sweet. We get to the cannons. My mother-in-law hands us both a cannon. My husband gets his to go first and all I see is pink confetti, the sweetest surprise. My life with a daughter flashes in my mind. Hugging my husband, tears shed, I was shaking happy. My mom crying happy for me. This is the biggest, best surprise I've ever had. I was expecting a third boy. But soon after celebrating, my mother-in-law interrupts, telling me I have to do mine too. I was so excited to see the pink confetti from my husband's that I never set mine off. I am assuming it's also pink because I'm not having twins. But instead it's blue. I instantly regret my initial ecstatic response. Why are there both colors now? She then hands us the real cannons, and they both pop blue. Of course, I can't match my previous energy. I hugged my husband and people around me and excused myself, and I cried, and I haven't really stopped for hours now. Don't get me wrong. I am so incredibly thankful for the opportunity to have any children, and I know health is number one. That isn't lost on me, but it's as if I had this space and time where my dream of a daughter came true, and I experienced the joy of having a girl join my crazy boy-filled family, and now I'm grieving that. I know I'll love my son with all my heart, and I am not upset he's a boy at all. It's just the roller coaster to find out who he was. Broke my heart today. I feel like a jerk for being so upset, but all this happened in front of an audience. I'm so embarrassed, and this happy video taken of the reveal isn't even real. It's a moment in time I got my heart broken. I don't understand the humor, even if everything had gone according to plan. What was the point? I didn't find the humor or what the end goal was. Am I the a-hole for being upset? Edited to add info. My mother-in-law did quickly apologize at the end of the night after spending the rest of the time scrolling her phone. Honestly, I didn't want to talk to her. I gave her a hug and walked away to be polite. I'd like to think it wasn't meant to be cruel, as I thought we had a good relationship. I have helped her in a lot of ways I won't get into here. That being said, even if everything had gone according to plan, I don't understand what the point is. Confusion at best. I don't see what the humor was in it. I had thought the same as many. A completely gender-neutral canon would have been better and would have left no room for error. She even said she meant to give my husband the blue one, thinking there was a chance he'd get his to pop first, which just makes me think she did realize things could go wrong and still decided this would be funny. Yes, we were to set them off at the same time. But of course, there's room for error, which unfortunately happened. I saw the first one go off pink and was so excited. I assumed mine would be pink too, logically. My husband was also happy. He thought we were finally adding a girl to our family. He wasn't happy about the joke either. And I've told him I'm going to need space from his mom for now. Comments about me not being happy? It was a boy. I'm completely content and happy with any baby. I love my boys with all my heart, and I love this baby with all my heart. My second was born with a birth defect that we spent lots of time correcting in and out of the hospital his first year and continue to monitor. I understand what is important here, and that's a happy, healthy baby. It was the fact that I had the rug ripped out from under me with an audience that I'm upset about. After 2 of the same gender, I'm assuming parents would be happy for either, but I think many parents would have a little spark of hope to experience the other side. As far as gender reveals, I wanted a small thing for my last baby. If you think they're dumb AF, don't have one. Also, my cannons were confetti and popped inside my home. I didn't unalive any wildlife, set a whole county on fire, or unalive anyone in the process, although it crossed my mind by the end of the night, lol. Jake. Thank you everyone for the nice comments and the reassurance I'm not out of line with my feelings. Pregnancy can be an emotional roller coaster. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Your mother-in-law is a witch. What a weird thing to do. I would never trust her again. not even with a "what color is the next M&M I grabbed" reveal. Also, gender reveals are tacky as fuck in my opinion, but that is another matter. Comment 2. It's only funny when the actual parents are doing the fake outs. You don't give the expecting mother one news and then change it, because it can fail badly, like it did here. Mother-in-law is a fool, not the idiot. Now for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been a week since the gender reveal disaster, and boy, do I have an update for you. Remember how my mother-in-law messed up the gender reveal with the confetti cannons? Well, things have escalated since then. First off, my husband and I had a long talk about boundaries with his mom. He's always been the peacemaker, trying to keep the family drama to a minimum, but even he was upset about the whole situation. We decided that we needed some space from her for a while, just to process our feelings and get back to a good place emotionally. Now let's rewind a bit. My mother-in-law, let's call her Linda, has always had a flair for the dramatic. She's the type to plan surprise parties and loves to be the center of attention. When she offered to be the gender keeper, I thought it was sweet. She seemed genuinely excited about doing something special for us, especially since our last pregnancy was tough with all the infection-19 restrictions. But after the reveal, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. Linda's apology felt hollow, and her excuse about mixing up the cannons didn't sit right with me. My husband agreed, and we started to wonder if there was more to the story. A few days ago, my best friend, who was at the reveal, came over to check on me. She's known Linda for years and has seen her pull off some questionable stunts. She told me she overheard Linda talking to her sister on the phone before the party, saying something about teaching me a lesson about getting my hopes up for a girl. I was floored. Was this all some twisted way of Linda trying to make a point? I confronted Linda about it, and after some back and forth, she finally admitted that she did it on purpose. She thought I was getting too caught up in wanting a girl and wanted to bring me back to reality. I couldn't believe it. My own mother-in-law, who I've helped countless times with errands, appointments, and even threw her a surprise 60th birthday bash, would do something so cruel. The confrontation was intense. My husband was livid, and for the first time, I saw him really stand up to his mom. He told her that what she did was unacceptable and that we'd be taking a break from her for the foreseeable future. But here's the twist, Reddit. Yesterday, I went for a follow-up ultrasound, and the technician looked confused. She double-checked her screen, then turned to me with a shocked expression. "There's been a mistake," she said. "You're having twins." I was speechless. Twins. No one in our family has ever had twins. The technician explained that one of the babies had been hiding behind the other during the previous scans, which is why we didn't know earlier. I called my husband, and we were both over the moon. But then it hit us. The confetti cannons. One pink, one blue. Could it be possible that Linda somehow knew about the twins? We rushed over to her house, and after a very emotional conversation, she broke down and confessed that she had accidentally seen the ultrasound results when she was at our house helping with some paperwork. She thought the twins were one of each gender and wanted to surprise us in her own way. But she got the cannons mixed up and then tried to cover it up with the real blue ones when she realized her mistake. So here we are, expecting twin boys and trying to wrap our heads around everything that's happened. Linda is remorseful, and we're all trying to figure out how to move forward as a family. It's been a busy ride, and I'm still processing the fact that I'm going to be a mom to not just 3, but 4 boys. My friend uses me for favors and ignores me until her baby shower, so I donate her gifts to charity, but our heartfelt talk might change everything. My friend, 28-year-old female, has always been less fortunate than me. 28-year-old female. This is pertinent to the story. It never bothered me. I valued her friendship, and I happily paid for outings, and I would drive up to an hour to visit her some weeks. But throughout our friendship, I always felt used. She will call me to hang out, and then when I got there, her car broke down and she needed someone to take her to the shops. Or she will say she's going to pay for something, and then when we get there, her wallet is always missing. Small things like that. Then she got pregnant, and for a while, we were actually very close. because we both always wanted to be mothers, and I think losing my job bonded us a little more. 3 months later, I got a new job, and she suddenly just stopped talking to me. I think she was jealous because she has been job hunting for 4 years now. It could be a lot of things, but I kept reaching out, asking her about the pregnancy, when we can visit and such. She always either blew me off or responded a week later. I asked her before Christmas what she wanted as a gift for 1, Christmas, and 2, the baby. She wanted that Revlon curl brush hair dryer for herself, and then for the baby, she sent me a list of things that I could choose from. I bought the Revlon thing, and then a few things for the baby, a lot of diapers, clothes, necessities, and I bought this plaything that was a little expensive. Please note, I can absolutely afford it. The previous job I lost because they were bankrupt. So I had a lot of presents for her. I called her before Christmas and asked what they were doing because I couldn't visit my family on Christmas Day. And I wanted to know if she and her boyfriend would come over and we could do Christmas together. So she knew I was alone on Christmas Day. She said she and her boyfriend were doing something with his family. I was like, okay, that's chilled. We can meet up in the new year. The day after Christmas, I see a lot of pics of her and her boyfriend visiting one of his friends 15 minutes away from where I live. I asked her why she didn't tell me. She was like, oh yeah, she forgot about me. We didn't really speak after that. She rocks up yesterday and calls me out of the blue, asking me if I wanted to go to her baby shower this Sunday. I tell her it's a little bit late notice because it's my dad's birthday on Saturday and I was planning to go there. She said my dad will understand if I leave on Sunday because she needed a lift to the shower anyway and no one could take her. And she really wanted all the gifts that I bought. I asked her how long she knew about the shower. She literally said 2 months. So I said, I'll think about it. Proceeded to return the hairdryer, the expensive baby plaything, and I gave away all the diapers and clothes and other things to a women's shelter because I decided that I'm done with her. I messaged her that I won't be able to make it, and she messaged me back when she can expect the presents then. I told her I gave them away. Proceeds 10 missed calls and a lot more messages calling me a witch. And I know how she needs those things. So, was I being the jerk when I did that? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Do not listen to her when she starts being nice again. In fact, block her on all your social media accounts and live happily ever after without that user. Comment 2. Not the idiot. The only reason she invited you was for a ride. That's a sign that she's only using you. Time to move on from that friendship. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been 3 days since I posted about my friend who seemed to be using me, and boy do I have an update for you all. Remember how I returned the gifts and gave them to a women's shelter? Well, things escalated quickly from there. After I told her I gave away the presents, she blew up my phone with angry messages and calls. I was feeling pretty down about the whole situation, but I stuck to my decision. I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was being used, and it was time to stand up for myself. The next day, I was at my dad's birthday party, trying to keep my mind off the drama. That's when my phone buzzed with a text from her. I braced myself for another round of insults, but what I read made my jaw drop. She was apologizing. She said she had been thinking about everything and realized she had been a terrible friend to me. She admitted to taking advantage of my generosity and said she was sorry for not considering my feelings. I was skeptical at first, but she kept sending messages, pouring her heart out. She told me about her struggles with finding a job and how it made her feel worthless. She confessed that she was indeed jealous when I got my new job, and that it was wrong of her to take it out on me. She even mentioned how she always admired my drive and success, but let her insecurities get the best of her. I didn't respond right away. I needed time to process everything. But then she dropped another bombshell. She said her boyfriend had left her after a huge fight about how she treated people, and she was now alone, scared, and pregnant. She was reaching out because she realized she had no one else and remembered how I had always been there for her. I was torn. Part of me was angry for all the times she had used me, But another part of me remembered the good times we shared before things went south. I decided to meet her the next day to talk things out face to face. When I saw her, she was a mess. She had been crying, and it was clear she was going through a rough time. We talked for hours. She explained how she always felt in my shadow, and that it was hard for her to see me succeed while she felt stuck. I told her about how her actions hurt me, and that friendship is a two-way street. It was a tough conversation, but it was also a turning point for us. We both cried and hugged it out. I realized that she truly was remorseful and that she needed support now more than ever. I decided to give her another chance, but I made it clear that things had to change. The next day, I helped her move some of her stuff to a new apartment. She had decided to start fresh and was determined to get her life back on track. She even had a job interview lined up, which was a huge step for her. As for the baby shower, it turned out to be a small gathering with just a few close friends. I went with her, not as a chauffeur, but as a friend. She introduced me to everyone and made sure to let them know how much I had helped her. It was a simple but heartfelt event, and for the first time in a long while, I felt like she genuinely appreciated me. In the end, she didn't need the fancy gifts. The women's shelter was grateful for the donations, and my friend was just happy to have someone by her side during this new chapter of her life. It was a reminder that sometimes the best gift you can give someone is your presence and support. My mother-in-law tried to seduce my dad and blame my mom, so we called the cops, and now she's got to go. But my husband's in denial. Hi there. I am here to ask for advice and to make my husband see that I'm not the jerk. Here's hoping y'all can see where I'm coming from. I, 45-year-old female, live with my children, 12-year-old female, 12-year-old female, 14-year-old male, and 15-year-old male. Husband, 46-year-old male, and mother-in-law, 65-year-old female. My mother-in-law moved in with us back in 2015 after my father-in-law passed away because she was financially struggling. My mother-in-law is not easy to live with, and we struggled immensely at the beginning, but after a few years, we found a way to cohabit. Then, 3 months ago, my parents' 68-year-old female, 68-year-old male house burned down, and they moved in with us while everything is sorted out with insurance and so on. My boys are sharing a bedroom, as my parents are currently staying in my eldest son's bedroom. My mother-in-law has struggled with this and seems to hate my mother being around. My mother has done nothing to upset her or to disturb her. In fact, my parents' bedroom is on the other side of the house. However, she doesn't have a problem with my father and always finds a way to hang out with him. A few days ago, while I was away for work, a massive argument happened between my mother and mother-in-law. My mother had accused her of trying to seduce my father, and there were some inappropriate texts sent to my father. My father immediately showed them to my mother, and my mother responded as if she was my father, to see how far mother-in-law would go, and well, she went far. Well, my mother confronted her, and mother-in-law called the police, saying she felt threatened, who then escorted my parents out of the house. This all happened while my husband was at work and the kids were at school. My parents went to stay at a hotel, and they explained what happened to me over the phone. When I returned, I gave mother-in-law 2 weeks to move out. My husband thinks I'm escalating things and that I should forgive his mother's actions because she was lonely and confused. For your information, there is nothing wrong with her. She's in good health. So am I the jerk for wanting her out of our house and my life? For your information, my husband has not seen the texts and pictures his mother sent my father. The only reason he hasn't seen them is that he refused to. But I think I'll have to insist because I need him to really understand how nasty she's been. Also, I wanted to kick her out immediately, but my husband begged me to give him 2 weeks so he could find a place for her. And my parents, being the saints that they are, said that I should give him that. My husband has profusely apologized to my parents, but my parents aren't upset with us and only hold mother-in-law responsible, as it was her disgusting actions that led to this. 1. In the pictures she sent my father, mother-in-law wasn't completely naked. She sent him lingerie pictures with suggestive poses and accompanied them with lewd texts. which is why my husband isn't particularly interested in seeing them. 2. The police asked my parents to leave since mother-in-law technically lives there. To avoid escalating the situation, my parents decided to leave. The police officers did not file any charges and just left after a chat with everyone involved. There was zero violence and no one got hurt. 3. Mother-in-law moved in with us after she had lost almost everything. Father-in-law died after a long battle with cancer. Medical costs ate up pretty much most of their savings, and she had to sell their house. This led her to spiral into a deep depression. My husband was very worried for his mother, and for good reason, as she was in a terrible state at the time. So we decided to move her in with us. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot for your husband. Your mother tried to ruin your wife's parents' marriage. What she did could have had huge implications on your wife's family. Instead of apologizing and owning up to her mistakes, she called the cops on your wife's parents. Honestly, I have no idea what the cops were thinking. They should have forced your mother to leave. Now, you are disrespecting your wife and your in-laws by excusing her behavior and telling your wife she escalated things. No, your mother escalated things and caused this whole problem. If I was your wife, I'd kick you out of the house with your mother. Time to cut the umbilical cord and be a good husband to your wife. Comment 2. Not the idiot. When you next talk to your husband, ask him why he would rather support his mother than his wife. Ask him why he's supporting an attempt at breaking up your parents' marriage. Ask him if this is how he's going to treat any other guests that might be staying in their house. And if he continues to defend her actions, ask him which hotel he'd like you and the kids to stay at, because you're certainly not going to be staying with someone who is that enmeshed with his mom. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, a lot has happened since my last post, and I really need to get this off my chest. So, after the whole fiasco with my mother-in-law sending those inappropriate texts to my dad, things have just gone from bad to worse. I insisted that my husband look at the messages, and boy, did that open a can of worms. He was shocked, to say the least. He couldn't believe his own mother would do something like that. It was like he saw her in a completely different light. Now, remember how I said my mother-in-law moved in with us because she was struggling financially after my father-in-law passed away? Well, turns out she had a bit of a gambling problem that we didn't know about. My husband found out when he started looking for a new place for her to live. He discovered she had been dipping into her small savings to play bingo and buy lottery tickets, hoping to hit it big. That's why she was always so stressed about money. But back to the current drama. After my husband saw the texts, he was on my side about giving his mom the boot. He started helping her pack her things and look for a new place. But then, 2 days ago, my mother-in-law dropped a bombshell. She tearfully confessed to my husband that she had feelings for my dad. She said she was just so lonely and that my dad was always so kind to her. She begged for forgiveness, saying she never meant to hurt anyone. My husband was torn. He was angry and disgusted, but he also felt sorry for his mom. He's always been the kind of person who tries to see the good in people, even when they mess up big time. I get that she's his mom, but I was not having any of it. I told him that understanding her feelings doesn't excuse her actions. Meanwhile, my parents have been absolute angels through all of this. They've been staying at the hotel, but they've been so supportive. My dad's been a rock for my mom, and they both keep telling me that they just want what's best for our family. The kids have been pretty confused by everything going on. My eldest son, who's always been a bit of a mama's boy, has been asking a lot of questions. He's at that age where he's starting to understand more about adult problems, and he's been really protective of me. My twins, on the other hand, are just upset that their routine has been disrupted. They miss having their grandparents around. Just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, my husband's sister called. She had heard about what happened from my mother-in-law and was furious. She accused us of kicking their mom out on the street and not being understanding enough. She didn't know the whole story, of course. My husband had to explain everything to her, and let's just say that conversation did not go well. She hung up on him, and we haven't heard from her since. Yesterday, my husband and I had a huge argument. He's been so stressed with trying to find a solution that works for everyone, and I've been at my wit's end with the whole situation. We both said things we didn't mean, and it ended with him storming out and going for a long drive to clear his head. When he came back, we talked it out and agreed that we need to stand united on this. We decided that his mom needs to move out, but we'll help her find a place and get the help she needs for her gambling problem. We also agreed that we need to set some boundaries with his sister. As for my parents, they're planning to move back in once my mother-in-law is out. They've been so patient and understanding, and I can't wait to have them back home. It's been a rough few days, but I'm hopeful that we're finally moving towards some peace and normalcy. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.